this is a Pantheon of M, and this is a special program to talk about the life of Chad Boseman, who died in April.
No, I think he passed away. I think he passed away in November.
In November
of 2020.
You're right. Yeah. So he died recently at 43.
Yeah. 40, maybe 40. Yeah, I believe he was 43, 42.
Yeah, 43 of colon cancer. Mm-hmm. Although he died really early, he did tons of films.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he started off. I will put this in my blog. He started off being a television actor. He mentioned this in his commencement speech, alma mater.
Yeah.
And he started off in television. Started off working on All My Children. He found his first acting part, legitimate acting part. Mm-hmm. And for 10 years, he worked in television, doing various roles. It wasn't until 2012 when he got his first film gig, and that's where he really excelled. I'll get into more detail on the audio portion, or on the blog, but his career is phenomenal. He doesn't look at being a black man in society or a black man in general. He looks at the human condition. He looks at every role, not just by the color of one's skin, but by the individual,
right.
By the person's merit of a person. Right. Flawed or otherwise.
When he did 42 about Jackie Robinson.
Exactly, that was his first biographical film.
Go ahead.
Oh, and that was the film that really brought him to the world stage, and no one knew he was battling cancer stage 4 in the end, but he was battling cancer from well beyond. He knew about it before he did Black Panther, and none of his co-stars knew about it, and it's just a testament to the man himself.
I'll just he would go and see kids in hospital.
Yeah, there was a scene where he spoke about how there was 2 Make-A-Wish kids who wanted to see Black Panther, and they held on because they were dying of cancer.
Yeah,
and he actually broke down in tears.
Yeah.
And the thing is, it means more now because you realize that he himself was dying of cancer.
Yeah.
So it hit home on a much greater scale.
Oh,
and
for sure.
I watched that clip. It was on. You can watch it on YouTube, and I got teary-eyed because you realize what he was going through. And understanding the weight on his shoulders, and still, and not letting anybody down, the crew, his castmates, and putting the work forward. And also being an ambassador of goodwill, of humanity, which was what the Black Panther really embodied, which is why we're wearing the Black Panther today, folks. Yeah. So I'm going to break it down. So we're going to go over a review of his films, just to quickly glance over his films, because he started in 2013 with 42, as you mentioned before, and in the last literally 6 years, he's come a long way. He's almost like he's become an icon. There's a good chance for the Oscars. He could get posthumously awarded 2 Oscar nominations. I mean, not likely, but we'll get into that shortly. But I think his performance in Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, his Levy, is extraordinary, and we'll get into that really soon. But let's get into it. 42. As a biographical character. Mm-hmm. He followed by that the year later in Draft Day, played Vontae Mack, a linebacker, with Kevin Costner. It's kind of a lighter role, kind of like the Cuba Gooding Jr.'s, show me the money.
Show me. Oh yeah. Okay.
Show me the money. So it was that kind of a character. Show me the money. I would link to. So, so he was a kind of a slick talking kind of character. But then from there, that same year, he did Get On Up, the movie with James Brown. And that's a film where it's a character who he plays it unrelenting. The character was flawed. James Brown commanded a lot of respect. He was coarse, but he fought his way to get what he wants, and with certain consequences, certain sacrifices. There is a discussion with one of his co-workers. I think his name is. Let me make sure I get it right. Bobby Bird, who was a singer who also worked with him in many of his songs. There was a lot of turbulence privately and personally in his life, and a lot of people who had trouble work with the guy because he had his demons, and he had his in first level of perfection. He had his anyone who works in perfection or a high level is demanding of you. So not everyone's perfect, but but you don't see what they see, or you can't understand the scope of how they're viewing themselves and how they see themselves. Some people work really hard, and some people work hard, but they get by just amazingly well on their skill and not knowing how skilled they are. But going back to the characters he's portrayed, he's also played Thurgood Marshall.
Yeah.
So those are the three. Those are the trifecta, and these are extremely versatile and proud characters. These are characters who transcend the idea of just the color of one's skin, and they work hard. So, and these are the themes that I think Boseman tried to project.
Yeah, definitely.
So I thought like his body work speaks volumes. I mean, of course, he did Gods of Egypt, which is a movie that he played Thoth, the God of Wisdom. I mean that film. You can say what you will about that film. It's more. You got to do some funny films, some commercial films to do the artistic films. This is the game you play. Followed by that, Message from the King. Oh, actually, he did. That's when he did Captain America, and that's when he first saw the Black Panther. So at this point, when he did Gods of Egypt, there was the word of mouth. There was the buzz generating of him. At that point, this was back in 2015, 2016. Then he did a Netflix show or streaming show, Message to the King, Jacob King, and again, this is kind of like an action movie, kind of like a Charles Bronson movie, where it's like he's a South African, comes to Canada or comes to America, his sister's kidnapped or missing. You find out that she gets killed, right, and she's drug overdose, and it's him seeking justice. Yeah. So, but the theme is still the same. He's a man, looking to do the right thing. He's a man who's not just that movie reminded me of The Foreigner with Jackie Chan, which came out like that same year or a year later, about a foreigner who wants justice for his daughter who gets killed. And it's a harsh tone. It's a very dramatic tone. It's one of Jackie Chan's most dramatic roles ever, and this is no different from the role that Chadwick Boseman puts into that film. Yeah. And we get Marshall, the Thurgood Marshall film. Now, this movie, I saw this movie recently. It's based on a true story. It's based. Have you seen that film before? No. Okay, so this movie, I'm going to say just quickly. Sam Friedman, played by Josh Gad, he was a lawyer who dealt primarily with accident insurance claims, and he ended up being an advocate for civil rights in the end after his involvement with Thurgood Marshall, and it's just. It's about the case was about a black man who. He was a chauffeur, and the woman who he drove around was a white woman, and accused him of rape. And Marshall was able to overturn that case and prove that he was innocent in a court of law. With the judge being sort of like the Chicago 7 was sort of biased and harsh towards the color of one's skin kind of indication. He was able to turn the tides and get the truth out there and save this man's life. And being an advocate for civil rights, and that's how he handled his demeanor. And Thurgood Marshall is an outstanding pillar of society. Same thing with James Brown. Same thing with Jackie Robinson. And he showcases. He wants to make sure he showcases, like, yes, these are people who are iconic, but they're human, and he wants to ensure that what you're watching are characters who are who rise above it. Like, we're not just one thing. We're not gangsters. We're not criminals. We're not. We're human beings. We're feeling. We care about our neighbors. There are people in society, in our everyday culture, who are. This is going back. Looking at the Cosby Show, where we had about a doctor and a lawyer who were a family. You could be anybody. Obama was our first president, which means anyone could be a president of the United States. Sure, Sure. So it's nothing is impossible, and his ultimate pinnacle thing he'll be remember mostly about Black Panther is the role of that. We can be better. Everyone can be better. We're not segregated to being just the one thing.
Wakanda forever.
Wakanda forever. Exactly. It's not necessarily a place. It's an ideology. And we should strive to be better. And that's the message. If anything else, we come away from this. Chadwick made us aware, opened our eyes that Wakanda is achievable. We are. Obama said, we can be better. I am an example of us making it to the top. We can overcome, even though we came from a place of poverty or restrictions. There is hope. You have to have a positive outlook. And nothing unattainable. Wakanda can be real. Can be realized.
Yeah, definitely.
Right. So, and then this ended off. I mean, he did Black Panther, then he did Infinity War, and then Endgame, and then from there he did his last theatrical movie was 21 Bridges, which he produced as well. He played a detective, and that again was kind of an action film, and his last theatrical film. And then coming to 2020, The Five Bloods. He played Stormin' Norman, and then he played Ma Rainey's Black Bottom playing Levy. Both films were released on Netflix, and they were released posthumously. Sorry, and it was one of the things that I will say that is some of his finest works. You're looking at Levy. I don't know if you agree with this. A lot of the character traits he's learned or developed in terms of performances is echoed in the character of Levy. Sometimes in the most opposite way. Like Levy's a tragic figure in most cases, but the courage and the will, and just in terms of just the performances that he delivers, is, I think, it is Oscar worthy. There's 2 points in this film where Levy reveals like where his tragedies comes from, and with his mother, and it's just sort of like. He's a person. He doesn't lack. He's a character who is maybe not so business savvy, but like his will, his drive, his ability, his business sense, eagerness to succeed, may or may not be his saving grace, or it could be his detriment.
Right.
But overall, I mean, I think like from his first feature film, which is 2012, which was Kill Hole, to Ma Rainey's, I think he showed a wide range of character, and he's never let the idea of playing a pigeonhole character. He's never done a role, in my opinion, that was just he's a black man and then he's a gangster, he's a drug dealer, he's just there is a person. You can play a character against time. He showed the world. I think he showed the world that you can play a character that's with integrity, flawed, human, and you can rise above it. And if anything, you can with hard work and dedication, you can rise above it.
Well said. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, he was very important to it affected black culture in a major way, as more positive, like you were saying, right? And it was Felicia Rashad and somebody else who helped him go to acting school. I can't remember.
Oh, Denzel paid
yeah.
Paid for part of it. I think it's one of his years of tuition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was a very good man, and we lost a king when he passed.
It's true, and we need to pay it forward.
Yeah, we do, definitely.
All right. So with that, to his family and his friends, the people who knew him, our heartfelt condolences. To kick off the month of February, this is a good way to start off in memory of Chadwick Boseman. So we will see you next week. Take care.
Bye.